On the other side of our plateau, someone who might also have Irish ancestry. Emma James, how are you?
Hi there. I'm good, thank you.
Now then, you're dealing with a very serious matter in Media Watch here. The reactions to a new allegation of sexual assault by Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh, of course, Donald Trump's pick for the Supreme Court.
Yes, absolutely. This is a story that emerged courtesy of The New Yorker, published today online. And it's been made by a graduate of Yale University, where, of course, Brett Kavanaugh studied as well. Deborah Ramirez is her name. She didn't actually go to The New Yorker with the story. They contacted her when they heard from other Yale graduates that there were rumours that this story existed, that this sexual assault had taken place, where he had allegedly pushed his genitals into her face as she sat on the floor at a party. She admits herself there are holes in what she remembers. She couldn't initially be certain that it was Brett Kavanaugh who had actually done this. And of course, a lot of people reacting with anger to the idea that she's come forward with a very incomplete version of events. But she does say now, having really thought hard about it, she is certain that he is the man who did that to her. Nancy Pelosi, for one, is one of those who has no questions, really. There's never just one, she tweeted out, hashtag believe survivors, because, of course, there is this theory that if it has happened once, then it will happen again, and it is just a question of time before more people come forward. Not a view shared by everyone, it has to be said. This is an interesting piece to look at in light of today's revelations. It was published last week by The Washington Post, a column by Mark Teesum, in which he asks, how much evidence do we need to destroy someone? And he criticises the first accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, because she can't remember the exact date that it happened on, and also she didn't tell anybody so that they could corroborate her story 35 years later. He says no other women have come forward to say that the young Kavanaugh assaulted them. There is no pattern of bad behaviour. Of course, now you could say, well, at least there is a pattern of alleged bad behaviour. Not, however, how Conservatives are viewing it. The National Review, very much the voice piece of the most conservative of Conservatives, says it's grossly irresponsible of The New Yorker to have published this story. They say that Judge Kavanaugh has labelled it a smear, plain and simple, and he should be applauded for his restraint, apparently. Now, they aren't the only people with questions, it's fair to say. The New York Times journalist Peter Baker tweeted this today, that they had interviewed dozens of people trying to corroborate this allegation, and nobody had first-hand knowledge of what happened that night. That's why they didn't run with the story. So it is interesting to see that there are questions being raised. However, today, 600 Yale alumni have signed up to an open letter. They are not saying that they know this happened to Deborah Ramirez, but what they are saying, we have a shared experience of the environment. It is very interesting to see. These are graduates that have graduated between 1966 and the present day. So clearly something that is very rotten at the core of the university system in the United States.
And that is one we'll be watching extremely closely. Now, moving on to a very different story, parody and charity combining for a new online shop. Please explain.
Well, you may remember that a couple of weeks ago, the Elysée Palace unveiled their official boutique online. It looks like this, bleu, blanc, rouge, it says proudly, and it's got lots of rather decadent things available, quite pricey, some of them. There's a Liberté bracelet, which costs €250. There it is on the right-hand side. Lots of things available, even some macarons, 7 of them, red, white and blue, that cost €19.50. The Elysée actually sold 350,000 euros worth of stuff within the first 3 days of it going online. Some expensive T-shirts too, a nod to the fact that Emmanuel Macron often likes to use unusual words. Poudre de palampinpin, which is a great word. It basically means fairy dust, yes, or snake oil. It's something that you kind of offer as an unrealistic promise, really. And on the right-hand side, of course, is Emmanuel Macron's famous pose captured when he was celebrating the World Cup win of Les Bleus just a few months ago now. So those are the kind of things that are on sale on the official site. €55, you'll notice, is the price. This is the unofficial site, the parody site. Elysée.fr is the website. And you can see they've got less of a range. They've got 30 products, but it isn't bad going, given that they've put this all together in a couple of weeks. Some of my favourite ones, I think, is this one. Again, a nod to some of the favourite unusual words that Emmanuel Macron has used. You may remember he talked about not giving in to lazy slackers in terms of his labour reforms. Fainéant is the word, and they have put that on a T-shirt to advertise the fact that they're slackers.
You're going to get me one.
Yes, I might well do.
Thank you.
Instead of Emmanuel Macron celebrating the win at the World Cup, they've got Alexandre Benalla.
Benalla, yeah.
Yes, the bodyguard at the centre of the great big scandal, and that is their T-shirt, Champion du Monde. You can see that very clearly there. But it isn't just something that has been made to mock the president, it has to be said. They've already made 1,000 sales, but they are raising money for charity in doing this.
Oh, that's good.
Based in Calais, and they have decided to put the money towards migrant groups that aid migrants living in Calais, saying that nobody should be living without a roof. It is well worth taking a look at the website. They say more products will come. And interestingly, they are actually working as well with some ethical sources. Made in France is, again, the theme of this, but also fair wear. So they are using ethically sourced products made here in France and raising money. It seems like a very good project, even if Emmanuel Macron might not be that big a fan.
Well, I'm sure he's got a sense of humour somewhere hidden in there. I might find it quite amusing. Emma, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you. Emma Jones with Media Watch, Emma James there, and Kate Moody with The Business on the other side of our studio, and those Irish roots.